Greetings and grace. Hey, I pray you are well, you are excited, that you are eager to get into this because I am, because there's a lot to talk about. Not only that, it's when you start to think about perspective, when you start to think about, okay, what is the author, the writer saying? What is the meaning of it? Right? Because is all of it meaningless though? Is it? That's the question that we are asking on this evening. And yeah, really think about it. All right. So as you already know, let's get on into it. Hold on one second. All right. So we are in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, and we're going to read the whole thing in its entirety. I said to myself, come now, I will test with you with pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved to be meaningless. Laughter, I said, is madness. And what does pleasure accomplish? I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly, my mind still guiding me with wisdom. I wanted to see what was good for people to do under the heavens during the few days of their lives. I undertook great projects. Excuse me, y'all. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I brought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I amassed silver and gold for myself in the treasure of kings and provinces. I acquired male and female singers and a harem as well, the delights of a man's heart. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me. In all this, my wisdom stayed with me. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for all my toil. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done, and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Then it goes into wisdom and folly are meaningless. Then I turned my thoughts to consider wisdom and also madness and folly. What more can the king's successor do than what has already been done? I saw that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. The wise have eyes in their heads, while the fool walks in the darkness. But I came to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. Then I said to myself, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. What then do I gain by being wise? I said to myself, this too is meaningless. For the wise, like the fool, will not be long remembered. The days have already come when both have been forgotten. Like the fool, the wise too must die. Right? So dark, right? He gets so dark with it. All right, hold on. And then we get to toil is meaningless. So I hated life because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. I hated all the things I had toiled for under the sun because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. And who knows whether that person will be wise or foolish. Yet they will have no control over all the fruit. Oh, excuse me. Yet they will have control over all the fruit of my toil, into which I have poured my effort and skill under the sun. This too is meaningless. So my heart began to despair over all my toilsome labor under the sun. For a person may labor with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then they must leave and then they must leave all they own to another who has not toiled for it. This too is meaningless and a great misfortune. What do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun? All their day's work is grief and pain, even at night, their minds do not rest. This too is meaningless. A person can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own toil. This too, I see, is from the hand of God. For without him, who can eat or find enjoyment? To the person who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand it over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Woo! Y'all. Man, all right. This one is deep. I know it's probably gonna, we're already almost 5 minutes in, but hang tight because we're gonna talk about it. We're really gonna talk about it. Greetings. Secure your path in just 3 steps. I myself knew a piece of my purpose, but I lacked the depths of my vision. I knew that I would make an impact, but I did not feel significant because I didn't know how to achieve this and actually make money online. Now I exercise the confidence of my purpose, execute my strategies for more impact, and I feel more fulfilled, making money as a result, helping other educators do the same as me. Some have even left their 9 to 5. Specifically, this year, I want to help 1,000 people discover their purpose in depth, strategize their impact, and make money online organically with the right information and guidance straight, no chaser. Go to online.theetablueprint.com right now so that you can be confident in your purpose like me and no longer lost on your path. My name is Imani Allen and I own Priceless Faith Productions, where your impact can become omnipresent. 10x, baby! All right, let's get into it. Right out the gate, he says that pleasure is meaningless. Remember, this guy is a teacher, right? He's the successor, one of David's sons, and he is talking about how pleasure is meaningless. And by the way, a lot of what he's saying is very sad. So I want to encourage you to take a moment and let's actually dissect this, because what we're going to do is we're going to turn this from sad into optimism, into seeing the glass half full, and then to be intentional about who you are, right? And what actually makes you happy, what brings you peace, etc., etc. That's what we're going to talk about today. Because pleasure, I disagree with a lot of what he said. I do not believe that pleasure is meaningless. I do not believe that wisdom is meaningless. I don't even believe that folly is meaningless. And I definitely don't believe that toil, aka work, is in fact meaningless. That is untrue. It's the process, right? It's the process by which you actually attain these things and how you take care of them while in the process of them and after them, that will actually make it meaningful as well as significant, right? Those of you guys that know me and have listened to the things that I've said, I've really talked about the importance of significance, right? And that is the importance of making sure that you're taking care of the things that you have, right? Including yourself, but making it mean something. What's the point of gaining a whole bunch of money, or what's the point of reaching success if it's not going to mean anything? It really isn't. And I'm not just saying that to say that. I'm saying that as someone who has, I have achieved a few things and I was like, man, I don't really like it, and then I, started to really think about how I went about it. I followed instructions and things like that. And I'm like, wait a second, I can do it differently. And, that's when I started to begin to, take some steps back and do things differently, because I had quite a few different teachers and everything like that. And you got to find what works for you with what it is that you're trying to do. Right. And so it's all about understanding how you ultimately want to go about things, right? So I have a customer and I freaking love her. She's a beast with what it is that she does. And, when I was training her on how to do what it is that I do, but for herself, she put emphasis on being organic. I said, okay, all right, I totally understand. And I shared with her, I understand what it is that you want, and also know that if you want to take it another direction, you know what I'm saying? I am here. I have the information for you. But just know that when it's organic, it's going to take up more of your time. And not just that, you have to make sure you're always on point, and you're going to have to do a whole lot of, the legwork, because you're doing it organically. She understood that. She's still winning. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, that's so lit. Me personally, I like a mix, but she knows and she knew who she was, to where she was like, I want to do it organically, because I want to just listen to the spirit and follow, how the spirit leads me to lead, and how the spirit leads me to say what needs to be said to help people. And that's the way that she wanted to go. I have another customer, what I'm saying? She doesn't show her face. And for her, that is not just aligned with her faith, that is who she is, right? And I mean, she is out here winning at life, right? So I say all of that to say you can in fact achieve success. It's all about how you go about it. Not only that, you're staying true to your principles, and you are also working it. You're making it work for you. And that is important, right? And right, everybody teaches differently, everybody learns differently, right? There's so many things that you can learn. You can even have like somebody who treats you horribly, but because of that, though, that and those reactions, you know how not to cause somebody to feel. You know, because you felt what they did to you, right? How they treated you horribly. And you're like, you know what? Now I know what that feels like. Or, wow, that was really mean. You may try to have confront, you may have tried to confront it, but there was no change. But you can make up in your mind that, you know what? I'm not going to treat people this way. And you can see a lesson in that. So I'm saying that any and everything is in fact a teacher. Even what he is saying is in fact teaching, right? And so I'm like, man, which son was this? You know, who was his mom? Why is it that he feels this way? Right? Because David, King David, you know, wow, okay, let's talk about it. Genes can, in fact, be passed down. King David, he was a man after God's own heart. But if you've ever made it through the book of Psalms, it took me 6 months, but I'm tell you something, my prayer life increased as a result of reading the book of Psalms. But there was a lot that David went through. And I'm like, yo, this dude is on a whole nother level, because a lot of the times, if you really think about it, it seems as though he was going through bouts of depression. And I say that because he understood a lot of things, he's been through a lot, and he's also in a position where he's dealing with the fact that he has never been where he is before, which is king, right? And the person who he was the successor to even tried to kill him. So, like, all of these things happening, you know, and then he's reaching success and he's falling, he's reaching success, and he has to hide in caves and he has to do all of these things. It's a burden. It is, in fact, a burden, right? And so it would make sense, right? If you're looking at it from the psychology, you know, perspective, it would make sense that there were some bouts of depression that King David went through, right? And so those genes could have easily been passed down to his children, right? And so this guy, he's talking about pleasure being meaningless. To me, as far as I'm concerned, that means one, he doesn't know what makes him happy. Two, he's not ensuring that he's incorporating those principles and the things that actually make him happy throughout life. And three, he hasn't found, I don't know if he does, what we're going to find out, but he didn't really connect with the right people that, you know, just, you know, continuously add happiness. Right. And we're not talking about anybody can make anybody happy, because nobody can make you something unless you allow them to. That's giving somebody too much power. Nobody can make you sad. Nobody can make you happy. People can hurt your feelings, but allowing them, you know what I'm saying, to have so much power over you and your emotions, that is something that a lot of us need to unlearn, right? Because you got to be mentally strong in this world. You got to be mentally strong to achieve success on your journey, to go on your journey to success. And so he's talking about pleasure being meaningless. I'm like, oh, dude, that's sad. Are you kidding me? Laughter is everything. How can you say that laughter is meaningless? And what does he said, what does it accomplish? What does pleasure accomplish? Pleasure accomplishes a smile. And let me tell you something. Scientifically speaking, and do the research. I want to encourage everyone to do the research. Scientifically speaking, it is a fact that when you are smiling and when you are laughing, okay, when you are smiling, it tells your brain that you are good. So your brain is not in fight or flight mode, right? Your body's not in fight or flight mode, right? And when you're laughing, that actually increases oxygen to the brain, which is great for brain health. So he's over here like, this is meaningless. This is meaningless. Like, no, bro, it's good for you. You need the laugh. And not only that, he said he denied himself nothing. He said in verse 10, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. That means that he did not exercise any self-control, any discipline. He's just like, oh, yeah, I want that. And it's temporary. It's temporary satisfaction. I think it's satisfaction or temporary gratification. He sacrificed the ultimate satisfaction for temporary gratification, something that won't last a lifetime, or in a good way, really. You know what I'm saying? Instead, he did this compounding of yes, 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 highly stimulation that he was unable to unplug from the reality of his position and realize, you know what? I don't need that. This is what I need. I need to focus on healing. I need to focus on actually what makes me happy. So, I want to encourage you guys to think about that. I really want to encourage you guys to think about that. And so, wisdom and folly are meaningless. We're talking about wisdom and folly now, right? Wisdom is definitely not meaningless. It's how you operate as a result of the wisdom that you gain. Yes, we talked about wisdom being, the more wisdom you gain, there is a little bit of grief that comes with it. That is part of the cost. However, what you do with it is what matters. Remember, we're talking about happiness. We're talking about significance. We're talking about what's going to make you feel good as a result of doing it. You guys got to understand something, right? And changing the habits of who I am, Imani, right? And changing the habits of me, what's comfortable is definitely convenient. And discipline, a lot of the times, is inconvenient, which is why it's like, no, I need to get up and do it, because you know what? I feel good when I'm sharing what it is that I'm getting, the revelations that I'm getting from the word of God. I feel great when I'm sharing, you know what I'm saying? I feel great when I'm sharing it. And I feel good when I'm sharing the content stuff. I feel good when I'm sharing the fact that, hey, you know what? Let's all go through meditation, because I know I needed it. I know I need it. And I know there's great scientific reasons. We're going to talk about meditation more, but I want you guys to understand something. All of these steps that I'm taking and consistently and adding in that discipline, there are times and there are moments I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it right now. I don't want to get up and do this. And it's not that I don't want to do it, but it's more so I don't want to do it. If that makes sense. Like, I'm not feeling like it right now. And that's the moment where it's like, no, exercise wisdom, because this is discipline, because it's not about me. Yes, I'm the one doing it, but it's not just going to benefit me, it's going to benefit other people. And that to me makes it significant. That to me makes me happy, because it's like, dang, this is bringing me pleasure to talk about it, because I do enjoy talking about the word of God, and I do enjoy, what I'm saying, going live from time to time. And so it's like, okay, I'm understanding more so that it's discipline, right? I once did this room, and it was called I did a play on Waterboy, which is one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies. And so the part where he's like, hey, Bobby, water sucks, Gatorade is better, right? And so I made a room and I said, discipline sucks, motivation is better. Just like, it was a clickbait title, but I really want to talk about how much more powerful discipline actually is, because discipline is what will actually get you closer to the success that you desire. And so let's get into it more. He said, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. I don't, and I'll tell you why I don't think folly is meaningless, because we all need something to laugh at, laugh with. And I'm saying that as someone like, okay, so I can be serious. I really can. And what I do, I don't take it lightly. But I will tell you something. I love to unwind with some of the dumbest stuff. And like, I mean, just dumb, right? It could be the most random thing in the entire world, and I will laugh. I will laugh my butt off. Why? Because it's a great way to unwind. Laughter increases oxygen, and I don't have to be serious in that moment. I mean, okay, so yes, I have in fact seen The Office from start to finish about two, 3 times, right? Um, one of the times there was a whole lot of space in between it, but when I tell you that it's one of my favorite shows, it is. You know what I'm saying? I could watch The Office every day. I could watch an episode every single day. It'd be all right. And more so, right? I love the clips. There are YouTube channels dedicated to compilations, y'all, of like your favorite characters. I mean, somebody talked about how Kevin Malone really isn't dumb, but he's playing a fool because the man is literally a genius, but they think that he's mentally ill, and they're letting him work as an accountant. He created his own number. But like when it came to pie, and when it comes to betting, and when it came to like the trivia night, like he just like took over and like rocked things out. Like I mean, like I'm like, yo, this man is a genius. He literally flew under the radar. He went into the office, Dunder Mifflin, to initially work in a warehouse, and he got hired to be an accountant. That's absolutely hilarious. And then Michael Scott, Steve Carell is just, he's such a great character for Michael Scott. I mean, the goofiest boss in the entire world. And yet he was so kind and so caring and so loving, and like he was definitely oblivious to a lot of things. But one thing he was really great at was sales and also bringing people together. And a lot of times he did a whole bunch of foolish stuff, but I say all that to say that yes, wisdom and folly, they aren't meaningless, because right, yes, some foolishness is okay. You got to have limits. You don't want to be silly and goofy all the time, you know what I'm saying? And you don't want, if you're the sum total, you don't want to, always be goofy. You got to remember your purpose. You got to remember your purpose, and you got to remember to walk this out. You are here for a reason. God has called you to do something, so do it and do so. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the process along the way. That's what I'm saying. So folly, hey, I'm with it. Just not as a lifestyle, as part of, what I'm saying, the unwinding, or self-care or whatever. Definitely invite it, have fun. I think it's important. I think laughter is important. I think people that don't laugh, they are sad, and they need like multiple hugs. So, like, again, scientifically speaking, they say that we need 7 to 8 hugs per day to function as a normal human, right? Somebody who doesn't like to laugh, who's always serious, I feel like they probably need 20 hugs. Just to start, somebody needs to hold them. They need weighted blankets, maybe even a heating pad, because, yeah, there's something there. But again, so just a quick recap. We talked about you don't want to be overstimulated. You want to make sure that you're unplugged, and you want to make sure that you focus on what brings you happiness, and also know your limitations. So give yourself what you need, and then make sure that you aren't overindulging in it. Right? Same thing with folly, and then same thing with wisdom. Yeah, you could sit here and obtain knowledge all day long, but you don't want to just obtain it, and you don't want to overstimulate your brain with knowledge. It's okay to take a moment and be like, okay, phew, I researched for like 3 hours today. I'm good. That's enough for the day. You know what I'm saying? On to the next task. All right. So the last one is toil is meaningless. A lot of people talk about the generations, right? There's these issues and tension, and almost like a war, a generational war. You got the last greatest generation, you've got the boomers, you got the Gen Xers, you got millennials, you got Gen Y, right? Or Gen Z, and then you got the new ones coming out. But okay, so anyway, we're going to talk about millennials, because I'm a millennial, right? And I see all the stuff out there, and I have nothing but love for all the generations. There's something that we can all learn from everybody. And that's the beauty about humanity, right? That's the beauty about life in general. And so when you think about it, there is something to be said with this whole great resignation, how the majority of us refuse to work at a place we're not going to be happy at. We refuse to work at a place where we're going to be disrespected. We refuse to work at a place that's actually harmful, for many years, decades on end. And we realize that, man, it's worth the sacrifice to struggle for a little bit of time to find what's necessary, what's going to make it meaningful for us. And a lot of times, we get a lot of flack for it, or, not necessarily supported. And, there's a lot that comes with it. But in understanding the cost of that, when we can look at our older loved ones, or people that we pass by that are in older generations, unfortunately a lot of them are unhappy. And it's unfortunate, because it's like, yo, they were bamboozled. I feel really bad for the older generation, because when it comes even social security, they initially created that, and they only intended for that to last for 2 years, and it's the bare minimum. And you've got all of these older generational people betting on this system that is failing them. And that is upsetting to me, because they don't deserve that, especially if they work for decades on end at some of these jobs and they hated it. And it's like, yo, that's not cool. That's not cool. and they were used. And then there's people that, they leave retirement, they come into retirement, and then they go back out working again because they have to. That's not fair, and that's not right. And those are one of the things that does upset me. And it's like, man, they deserve more. And so it's like, man, okay, the wisdom that I've gained, I can share with them. I can share with as many people who want to listen and who want to apply it, because I started to understand that at a very young age. Around 19, I had this job, and I would take care of about 1,000 customers a day. I was a toll collector. And I decided to drop out of college. I was like, bye. After 3 semesters, because I was bored. I was like, I don't want to be here. And I was like, okay, I'm making money, whatever. And like, I was doing really great at 19, 18, 19, 19, 20, because I think I was there for almost 2 years or something like that. And you literally hand somebody ticket, they hand you a ticket, hand ticket, all day, all day, all day. And I mean 1,000 people at minimum per day, right? For hours on end. And I noticed that sometimes people would snatch the ticket. And like, that was like so aggravating and mad disrespectful. I'm like, why do you have to snatch the ticket? And then, there will also be people who were rude. And then there will also be people who would be like, "Hi, how you doing?" And they didn't mean it like something that we normally say, but "Hi, how you're doing" is an invitation. Okay, this is how I'm doing. But people don't really care to know how you're doing. And I realized, I'm like, man, everybody's going through life so fast. And like, I'm 19 years old, and I'm looking, and I'm just like, man, I feel like I can do more. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I'm not heavily in the theater side. It's time for me to go into TV and film side, and really try to pursue my dream of acting on the big screen and everything like that. And I was just like, wow, this was powerful. It was a powerful lesson, because right, while I made some good money, while I learned a lot, I also understood, like, for the rest of my life, couldn't do it. And when I started to feel like that, or when I've ever started to feel like that at an establishment, I'm like, ooh, time to go, because I'm no longer feeling challenged, and I feel like I can do more. I've learned what I've learned. And that's not to say that there wasn't more to learn. There's always more to learn. It's all about, okay, I gained what I needed. Okay, sometimes it's time to move it, keep it moving. And a lot of people, millennials, do operate like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If For the fact that there's a lot of issue and controversy behind it, I think that that should be encouragement and an incentive to think of it from a stance of, as a corporation, how can I make it more meaningful? How can I make what we do worth it? Worth spending hours on end, worth like working so hard. You know what I'm saying? Is it just for money? Or can we do something meaningful along the way? Can we foster healthy relationships within the organization? Things like that, right? Can we create a family environment, a safe space for our workers? You know what I'm saying? Like, the higher you go in those higher corporations, they in fact have therapists on site. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like, if you're working like, high investor capitalists and things like that, they have those there. How much more would employers like see a turnaround if they have things like that within their businesses and within their companies? We've become so, and I'm not saying millennials, I'm saying all humanity has become so coddled to convenience, to everything's happening right then and there and right now. I get it. Yes, there's money in it, but at what cost? Your life? Rich Dad Poor Dad is an excellent book by Robert Kiyosaki. It doesn't matter if it was actually true or not. The principles, the principles remain. So I would love to recommend that to you guys. Definitely check it out, because it's on point. It's a great beginner guide to understanding how North America alone works, and a great way to start looking at, like, yo, I can start doing things differently, and then start to ask the right questions. You know what I'm saying? So if you have any questions, hey, feel free to hit me up. And then I think this was wild. This chapter was very wild. There's a whole lot that you can learn from it, and it's all about making it meaningful. It's not that it's meaningless. You got to make it meaningful. You got to see the glass half full, and you got to exercise gratefulness all throughout it. So be encouraged. I'm excited to hear you guys. Oh, excuse me. I'm excited to hear and see you guys win at life. That's what it's about. God bless. Stay safe. All of those beautiful things, and talk soon. Greetings and grace. Today, I'm going to show you the differences between a website, a mini site, a funnel, and a landing page. Check this out. This is a wonderful blank sheet of paper, right? I am drawing this huge box. This box is your website. What is a website? Your website is like a mall, right? Inside of the mall are these wonderful maps, and each of those maps tell you how to get to each and every single store. That is your mini site, right? Now, the stores are specific most of the time, right? We got Radio Shack, we got Staples, we got Guitar Center. I am doing horrible on, with the drawing. We got Dollar Tree. Hey, if it's $1.25, you better go ahead and get it. We got Barnes and Nobles, right? Each of these stores sell specific things, specific products, and they are for a specific type of person or people that are interested in multiple things, but they have specific taste for those things. So these stores are specific for those specific people, right? Then all throughout the store, you have these wonderful things called kiosks. And at the kiosk, you'll see like a sunglass place where they'll offer you a free glass cleaning because they see you wearing glasses. They'll clean them for free. At the same time, they're going to put a pair of glasses on your face, show you the mirror, because ultimately they want you to see what their product can offer you, right? Or you even have a shoe cleaning place where they'll clean your shoes for free in exchange for maybe their information, your information, right? So the sunglasses people, and also did I do sunglasses? Yeah, sunglasses and shoe, they're both S's, okay, excuse me. So the sunglasses and the shoe people, they'll do something for free in exchange for your information. Now, that is your landing page. And sometimes it can be, in fact, a paid offer, but that's the difference, simplified. All right, rock it out and let me know if you have any questions.